JMMB SME Resource Center, a partnership that goes above and beyond. Because you need more than just a bank, we are committed to offering support and guidance to small and medium-sized businesses, or SMEs, every step of the way. The JMMB SME Resource Center ensures that you are prepared to access JMMB's banking, investment, and insurance brokerage services, along with our business planning expertise. The center provides customized advice to take your business to the next level. The JMMB SME Resource Center will help you to identify financial opportunities, develop a professional business plan, structure financial statements, and solve business challenges with the help of our network of business partners. Are you ready to grow your SME with JMMB? Speak to one of our JMMB SME representatives to find out how we can partner with you. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at JMMB Group, or visit our website at jm.jmmb.com.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our session on how to file your income taxes. I hope everyone is ready for a really interesting presentation from our representative at Tax Administration Jamaica. You'll get to hear a little bit about her later on, but I really hope you guys are ready to learn and, of course, prep for your filing on March the 15th, which is, not too far away. So I hope this session is really useful for you guys. Right, so we are just gonna jump straight into the session. But before we start, it's customary at JMMB that we begin all of our proceedings with a word of prayer. So I'm going to ask Mr. Vincent Auld if he could lead us in prayer, please. Vincent?
Okay, Natalia.
Thanks.
Almighty God, we give you thanks for yet another day. We thank you, Lord, for bringing us together on this forum. Lord, we ask that you guide us throughout this presentation, and we hope that it will be beneficial and useful to all the participants. This we pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Vincent. And now we'd also have a short reading from our Vision of Love from Ms. Shauna Harris. And just before she begins, just to explain to you what our Vision of Love is. It's really a document that guides the principles and our core values of JMMB Bank. It really tells our team members and our clients what we stand for and who we are as an organization. It's really a lovely document, and if you've never heard of it or you're interested in hearing or reading the whole document, we actually have it on our website. So I'll be sure to leave the link to that in the chat so that you can find it. And of course, have a look at of the other products and services that we have on the website since you're already there. So I'm gonna ask Shauna just to read us an excerpt from the Vision of Love.
Thank you, Natalia. Good evening, everyone. This is a loving and caring and honest atmosphere where ideas are valued and shared openly, where a balance is created between aspirations and practical aspects of work and life, between actualization and potential. That ends our excerpt from the Vision of Love. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Shauna. And then now moving into, coming out of the Vision of Love, like I said, we'll send the link to the website in the chat so you guys can have a read. And also feel free to browse the website while you're there, right? Right, so moving right along, I'm gonna ask Miss Paula Forrest to introduce the team that is joining us here this evening.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session, the tax session. I hope it will be beneficial to all. We have out of Trinidad and Tobago, our presenter, the lovely Natalia. She is our resource center, one of the resource center officers out of Trinidad and Tobago. We have branches in Jamaica and Trinidad for right now. We have Mr. Vincent Hall, who is the senior resource center officer in Jamaica. We have Miss Tanise Koof. She is one of our resource center officers also. And I am Paula Forrest, one of the resource center officers out of Jamaica. And we have Miss Shauna Harris, who is admin and a part of the resource center. Back to you, Natalia, or is it gonna be Tanise?
All right, thanks. Thanks, Paula. Tanise, I think you're on mute if you were gonna go.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Let me just share my presentation. One moment. So thanks again, everyone, for coming, joining us this afternoon. And as Natalia said, to have a very exciting afternoon to learn how to ensure that we are tax compliant. But before we go into the main course, I want to take a few moments just to share with everyone what the JMMB Resource Center is about. What we do is we ensure that we work with our clients. Our objective is to work with you throughout the different stages of your business life cycle to make sure that you grow from stage to stage. And in doing this, our objective is to make sure that we help you to find the right solution, whether it is within JMMB or with any of the fabulous partners that we work with on a daily basis. Okay, so when you are a JMMB SME Resource Center, some of the services that you'll get to benefit from include workshops like this one. Normally our workshops are for JMMB SME clients exclusively. However, occasionally, such as today, we may choose to have a workshop that is open. So if you want to benefit from the numerous workshops that we offer, last year we did 21 workshops, you can always contact us to find out how to become a JMMB SME Resource Center client. However, outside of the workshop, we also ensure that we assist you with getting the appropriate business tools that you may need to use to help your business to grow, as well as we conduct detailed assessments of your business to help you to identify areas that you may need to improve, will assist you to grow the business. So those are some of the things that we do here at the JMMB Resource Center. We are also a regional department. We exist here in Jamaica and in Trinidad, represented by Natalia, who you got to meet earlier. So I'm going to allow Vincent now to just take you into the main course while you're here this afternoon. Free to have your videos on. However, we are going to ask that you mute your mics while we're in the session. If it is that you have a question, please feel free to indicate by raising your hand, and we will let you know when you can go ahead and ask your question. So over to Vincent.
Hi, thank you, Tanise. As Natalia said earlier, tonight's focus is really on how to file your income tax return. And we all know the importance of filing your income tax return. And there's a social benefit. There's also the situation where you, as a social benefit, you assist the government in terms of the management of the country, management of the economy. It's also very good to pay your income taxes, as when you pay your taxes, financial institutions request that you provide a tax compliance certificate in order to access loan financing or to use bank services. Also, it qualifies you for government grants. In addition, it's very important to pay your income tax. Nobody wants to pay taxes late. If you pay late, you're penalized for it. So it's important to pay your taxes on time in order to avoid expensive penalties. Next slide, please. Okay, so my role, principal role this evening is to introduce to you our presenter. And our presenter comes well qualified and experienced to speak on the subject matter. She has been with the Tax Administration Jamaica since 2004, and she has held various roles in various capacities. In her current capacity, though, as a taxpayer education officer, she is tasked with the responsibility of informing and educating the taxpayers by simplifying tax issues into understandable language for the common Jamaican. She speaks to persons such as students at the primary level to well-established businesses or companies. As said before, she comes well qualified. She holds an Associate of Science degree in Management Information System, a Bachelor's of Education in Computer Studies, and she's currently pursuing a Master's degree in Public Management. She also has training in entrepreneurship, speech writing and public speaking, and public administration and policy. Her mantra is, I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. With this conviction, she believes that the sky is the limit and that you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it and work hard for it. Therefore, without further ado, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Antoinette Anderson, our presenter tonight from Tax Administration Jamaica. Antoinette, it's yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. All. All right, let me project. Okay, so just to briefly go through what we're going to be discussing this evening. I'm sorry, my 5-year-old is not ready to sleep yet, so you'll hear a little bit behind in the background. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about tax admin, not a lot. We're gonna talk about the rights and obligations that you have as taxpayers. We'll talk also about the expectations that we have as tax admin. We'll touch on keeping proper books and records, which is very important. And I'll guide you into registering for online filing. And we'll talk some of the applicable taxes and some key takeaways as well. All right, so our guiding principle as it relates to our vision, we aim on becoming a world-class tax administration. And our mission is to collect the revenue due in an equitable, cost-effective manner, fostering voluntary compliance, provide excellent service to our customers through an engaged and empowered staff. And our core values is integrity, mutual respect, professionalism, accountability, customer-centric, and teamwork. And the short for that is impact. All right, so our mantra, our mandate, we are tasked with the responsibility of assessing and collecting all the domestic taxes. And we aim to do this through promoting compliance and enforcing the tax laws. So with that said, we're gonna talk a little bit about the rights that you have, the rights and obligations that you have as taxpayers. Now, if you're not aware, we have a self-assessment tax system. So what this really is we give you the opportunity, taxpayers, to have control over your own tax affairs, meaning you file your returns based off what happens in your organization. You calculate, and then from net profits, you report whatever tax is due to us. And In the event that you fail to do this, then the Commissioner General is empowered to raise an assessment. So outside of you doing what you know you need to do, if it's not done, then we will move in to do an assessment if we have the information to do that. So you are entitled to have up-to-date information. That's the right that you have. So we're supposed to be providing you with all of the up-to-date happenings where tax is concerned. And that's part of the reason why my unit exists, we're the education unit. You have a right to appeal. Say, for instance, you're being assessed and it's not what is in keeping with what your reality is. You have a right to appeal any decision that we make. And you should pay no more tax than what is due from you, basically. We can't ask you to pay more than what you're supposed to pay. And you have a right to be aware of the consequences. Mr. All said earlier that if you fail to file the returns, then you will suffer penalties. He said a very right thing. So late returns will attract interest and penalties. And another right that you have is to privacy. Now, we are tax administration. We aim to keep the information that we have private. Private to you, meaning another taxpayer cannot call or send maybe like some kind of message by letter to say, give this person the information. There has to be something in place that would give us, the right to give the information to somebody else. Outside of that, you have the right to privacy. You have the right to confidentiality as well. Now, some basic obligations that you'll have. You have to be honest. We expect that you are honest. Honest in the sense that when you're reporting, you report actual things that take place in your business. You're not just reporting all of the expenses and you're leaving out the income. You're reporting everything as it is in your business. Now, you're obligated to be cooperative. So say, for instance, we're auditing you and we ask you for your books and records. You have to volunteer those because it's a request that we make. So that's a part of being cooperative. And you have to provide accurate information and submit the returns on time. Now, the record keeping is very important, and we're going to touch a little bit more on it going further. But where records are concerned, at the end of the statutory period, which is 6 years, which is 5 years to include 5 years plus the current year, by law, you're mandated to keep all of those records, all of the activities that took place in your business for the past 5 years, plus the current year. That's something that you have to be very aware of. So you have that obligation, and the obligation to pay your taxes on time, it's a very serious one. So now what do we expect from you in all of this? As I said earlier, the honesty is necessary. We expect that you file correct returns and provide complete, accurate information when you're reporting. We expect that you're going to be keeping the records. We also expect that you keep us informed just as much as we have to provide you with information on the up-to-date happenings within TAJ. You also have a responsibility to keep us as well informed of any changes. You change your location, you change your phone numbers. You're supposed to keep us informed if you have employees. Their payroll information is supposed to be submitted. So all of this, it's a part of you keeping us informed. And we expect full compliance. So compliance in the sense that you're registered as a limited company. All of the returns that's associated with your business, you have to file all of the taxes that's associated with your business. We need to have them on time. And right now, everything is online. So you need to submit those returns online. All right, so bookkeeping. So every business operator, and I want to emphasize this because some persons may say that, oh, I'm not a limited company, so why do I need to do this? Or I can't do this because I don't have the capacity to. It's simple. Keeping records don't mean that you have to have a robust database where you type on keys or you do all of the fancy things. Keeping records can be as simple as getting a receipt book to record all of the receipts that you've gotten, or to keep your receipts from all of the purchases that you've made, or to even get some kind of journal or a book to record everything. You know, that's simple record keeping. You know, so that's a minimal expectation that we have where record keeping is concerned. And we had said earlier about the maintaining of the records for the 6 years statute period. Now, why is this necessary? For one, record keeping helps you to monitor the progress of your business. It helps you in the preparation of financial statements and to identify sources of income. Now, you do business with JMMB. JMMB is going to be giving you a loan. You can't walk in there and tell JMMB, you know, I made 100 million last year, and you have nothing to show for it, right? You're not going to get any kind of financing with that kind of approach. You need to have proper records. So it starts there. And where we are concerned, your records are necessary for when you're filing your annual returns, because you don't pick figures from out of the ceiling to put on the forms. You need to have the records to support the figures that you're entering into a form.
1 second, Ms. Anderson. Before you proceed, we have our first question for the night. So they would like to know if you can appeal a penalty that has been applied.
Okay, so where the penalty is concerned, the term that we use for that is to request a waiver. It's not necessarily appealing. So you can request a waiver of the penalties and interest that may happen as a result of you filing a return late, but it must be justified. You know, why did you file the return late? You know, it has to be justified. So the process is that you'd put that in writing, you know, compel us that this was really a genuine oversight on your part or an error. You know, something happened. You need to put that in writing to our technical specialist unit. They're located at 12 Ocean Boulevard, Kingston. All of those waivers go to that one unit. So you can actually request a waiver.
Okay, and can you also indicate the rate that is used to calculate the penalty?
All right, for income tax, the rate is quite small. It's just $5,000 per month, or a part of a month that it remains outstanding. The interest is calculated daily at point something percent. But you know, over time, all of that adds up. So, you know, if you find that you're late, be proactive, or, you know, react fast and get the returns done to avoid the additional interest that may, you know, you may incur over time. So okay. It's just for income tax, it's just $5,000 per month, or a part of a month. So if, say for instance, today is the 3rd of March, once you touch the 1st of March, it's $5,000. An additional $5,000 to the periods before.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So the process to file online. I'm not sure how many persons online who's in the seminar know who is already registered for online filing or has been using the system before. So I'm going to take it from scratch, as though nobody is aware of how the process works. All right. So to persons to be able to access the e-filing and e-payment services that we offer at TAJ, you must first have a tax portal login. And the tax portal login is just a fancy name for username and password, right? So the username and password can be created on our website, jamaicatax.gov.jm. There are two ways within which you can effect this process. You can do a manual form. The form is on the website under our Forms tab. You can do the manual form and submit it at the office with the required document in terms of ID or authorization letter. Or you can do it straight online, that having created the username, you go straight into registering for an e-services account. All right. So the e-services account is I think it is the most convenient option because it saves you the time of traveling to the office to drop off a form. So what you need for the process is the ID for the person who is going to be authorized to manage the online activity. I know there are cases where you give this kind of authorization to your accountants. Personally, my advice is to always have control over your own online account. When I say have control, you manage everything that happens on there. And while I know that some persons are unable to say prepare, income statements or financial statements, it's that part of it is the accountant's responsibility. But you can actually have some say in it or some input where you are set as the master login, and then your accountant can be the third party access on your account. So you can, you have control to see and to do anything on your own account. I've had experiences where persons are at a disadvantage when an accountant leaves or an accountant dies. They know nothing of the login, they know nothing about how the process works. So with you giving yourself this level of control, in the absence of an accountant, you will have some amount of flexibility to manage your own affairs. So having created the login, you can wait for it to be processed within 48 hours. We try to do it within 24 hours. Most of the accounts that are sent online, we try to do them in 24 hours. So you have a quick return time for that. If not, and you have an urgent need, you can call the customer care to have them register you directly so you can access the accounts promptly. All right. Now, the next step of the process, say you are just setting up for the first time, you were never self-employed, you're just going to start as being self-employed. You will have to set up the accounts that is necessary for you to file. And it's simple under account types. If you're a sole trader, you'll select the option that says individual income tax for self-employed. If you're in a partnership, if you did the online registration for a partnership, you'll select income tax for partnerships. And if you're a limited company, you'll select income tax for body corporate. Now the time or the time that you'll put in or the date of registration is going to be dependent on when your business was registered, right? So persons would have set up a partnership name at the company's office, and you would have indicated a timeline within which you're going to start, operating. That would have been the date that you use as your start date. So you need to be, aware of that part. Of course, we have instances where persons set up, but they never start. They never start, a year has passed, 2 years has passed, and they never start. In that case, you would still do the registration, but you will file returns nil and, attach some kind of correspondence to say what's happening when you intend to start business. So because the dates may not happen according to how you say it when you're registering your business. All right. Now, mandatory filing is straight across the board for all tax types, whether you're self-employed, whether you're a partner, whether you're, a limited company, all of these returns are mandatory online. All right. So the SO4s, SO4A, the I-202, I-203, all of these returns, And if you're just doing it as, if you're doing it as someone who has employees, the SO1 and SO2 is also mandatory online. GCT, let me go back a little bit. GCT, you won't be able to set up a GCT tax type on your account. Why? GCT is a tax type that you have to register for. You have to fit the criteria. So currently your gross revenue must be over $10 million per annum to be registered for GCT. So that one you have to do a separate registration, and we in office will add that to the account once you satisfy all of the requirements to be registered as such. In the meantime, you don't charge GCT on your items. You don't do any kind of, registered taxpayer activities if you're not registered to collect GCT, all right? All right.
Ms. Anderson, sorry to cut you. We have, I think, a pertinent question in the chat. The participant is asking, if I am no longer able to get a hold of my accountant and I do not have an online account, can I request copies of my past filings? If yes, how do I go about this?
Question, it would depend how past are we talking about? Because if it is that your accountant was doing it online, when you're set up for online filing, every single return or payment that you make online is stored in your submissions tab. Every single return is stored there. If it is anything prior to when we were online, that's not going to be accessible online. You won't be able to access that. But once it is within the time that we're filing online and he did the return online, then you would be able to see all of those returns in your submissions tab. And if he had made payments as well, they would be stored in your submissions tab.
Okay, great. So I hope that answers Arlene's question. We have a couple other questions coming in the chat. But I guess as we progress, we'll address those questions. I'm seeing two questions though before we move on.
Okay.
Just asking you to go through the GCT portion of taxes again.
Okay, so I only mentioned that it's a tax type that you have to register for separately.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know which angle to take this from, but let me try. So GCT, remember how it works is that the customer gets a receipt that has your GCT number on there, the goods, the item that you sold, the subtotal for the item, the GCT portion, and the grand total on that receipt. That GCT that you collect, right? You report it on a Form A every month. So we're in the month of March. We will be expecting that GCT return for February by the end of March, right? Now how it works, when you're a registered taxpayer, GCT, you will have GCT on one hand that you pay out, right? And then you'll have GCT on the other hand that you collect. So the return that you file is basically an offset of these two input-output tax. So how it works is that if it is that you collected more GCT than what you paid out, you're supposed to pay the balance to the Tax Administration. If you receive less GCT than what you actually paid out, you receive less GCT than what you actually paid out, then that will hit the system as though it's a credit, or you can access it as a refund, right? So it's a balancing effect with the input tax and the output tax on the GCT return itself. And you report it by the ending of the following month of you collecting. Now, penalties for GCT is way higher than income tax, right? So we look sometimes up to 10,000, depends on what you should have reported, because what you should have reported it in some cases it's a percentage of that. So you want to be very on time where GCT is concerned. All right. I don't know. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I
If it's
think
not clear,
so.
yeah.
I
If
think
it's not,
so.
okay. Go ahead.
Right. So just to confirm, GCT is only payable by companies that make more than 10 million Jamaican dollars per year, right?
Yeah, 10 million and in excess of 10 million.
Great. Okay, so we'll hold on the questions for now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask the participants to keep putting your questions in the chat, and as we go along, we'll address them. We'll ask Ms. Anderson to address them. Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Ms.
Okay.
Anderson. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So the benefits of filing online: ease and access, anytime, anywhere, once you have internet connection. You can file and pay. You don't have to come into the office and stand in lines anymore. And it's a good platform for communicating with us, because when you're registered, there is a correspondence link in your online account where you can send us messages and get them responded to as well. And you can view your account. Somebody had asked earlier about seeing the returns that was filed before. You can access those, and you can access letters that we would send, because from time to time with new things happening, we send correspondence to each person's account so they can have, direct access to the things that's happening within TAJ. That's one way that we use to keep you informed. So that's a benefit of using the online portal. All right, so I wasn't sure as to the makeup of the group. I don't know if we have just sole traders or just partners or just limited companies. So I'm gonna talk on tax types that are similar for all of these categories of taxpayers. All right, so when you are registered as a self-employed person, the NIS, NHT, education tax, and income tax, they are going to be applicable to your situation. You're self-employed, it's applicable to your situation. If you're a partner in a partnership, this is applicable to your situation as well. Now, the rate for NIS is 6%, and NIS is calculated against your net profit. In the case of the business, it's applicable against net profits. So there is no expectation for taxes if you don't have a net profit. I'm going to make that very clear, because persons are of the impression that, oh, the government just wants money. Once you're reporting correctly, once you get a net profit, yes, there is going to be expectation for taxes. If you're not achieving a net profit, then we cannot have an expectation, because these tax types are calculated against your net profit. All right. So 6% for NIS, 3% against against the net profit for NHT, and education tax is a little different. How it works is we remove the NIS from the gross. We remove the NIS from the gross first and foremost, and then what is left, we multiply it by 2.25% for education tax calculation. Income tax as well, you have to be earning over the threshold. And we know the threshold currently is $1,500,096. So to contribute to income tax, you have to be exceeding that amount. All right. exceeding it meaning we're also going to be considering NIS contributions as well. So removing NIS contributions, removing NIS contributions, removing the threshold, what is left, we calculate income tax on that. So self-employed person, this is how it's going to work for you. And the rates are currently 25%. So 25% is earnings below 6 million per annum. Earnings above 6 million is calculated, anything in excess of 6 million is calculated at 30%. So that's an additional 5% when you're calculating the income tax. Okay. All right, so I did this spreadsheet to see if I could simplify it a little bit. So
Ms. Anderson,
for company,
before you move on, can I just break you 1 second? It comes in at this section, so I just want to ask it. The participant would like to know if a registered wholesaler restaurant is required to report wages paid to employees as well as deduct and pay taxes for them, such as their NHT taxes.
All right, so that's an interesting question because it's gonna take us into the definitions of contract of service and contract for service, right? So contract of service is what we call employment. And employment is defined as a situation where the employer allots tasks to the employee. They have a specified lunch time. They have a specified time to report to work. There is an understanding for remuneration. That's, you know, the basic definition for contract of service or the employment situation. And then there is a contract of service. Contract of service is different in the sense that you are a contractor. So the person who runs the wholesale would say, you know, this is the arrangement. I will only need you for a specified time, maybe like I don't know, a month's period or 2 months, and I will pay you this amount for the service, or there's some kind of negotiation between the person who is being contracted and the contractor on, you know, how much money they will need for that service. And it's not so restrictive in the sense that the time in most cases, it's a very technical issue, and it's I don't know if I'm getting the point out that I'm trying to make, in the sense that it depends on this agreement between the employer and the employer, or the person who is working and the person who is giving the work.
And what we can do, what we can also do is, if she's in need of further clarification, we can help her to connect with you so that you can give her one-on-one guidance.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So if it is that the person is an employee, you pay them the rate that you agree on. You deduct the taxes, the different statutories, NHT, NIS, education tax, and if they earn over the threshold, you also deduct the PAYE when you do all of the calculations, of course. And you have to match these. The rates I gave earlier was for self-employed. It's a little different for the employee. So I can provide you with that information. We have some information on the website that is very useful in this regard. So I'll guide you, I'll point you to there in a little bit. So if it is that you hire this person on contract, and that's an agreement that's either verbal or written, then the obligation may not necessarily be on you to deduct the taxes from them and match it to pay it over. So it depends on the arrangement that you have with the person who you're hiring. I hope that's satisfying. Okay. All right. So where income tax is concerned now, Companies, individuals, employees, and pensioners. Income tax for companies and individuals is always going to be based on profits, right? So remember, I spoke earlier about the calculation against net profits. The rates for company income tax, if you're a regulated entity, your rate is 33.33% of those profits. If you're unregulated, it's 25% of that net profit or net income. For individuals, it's straight 25%. If your earnings exceed 6 million, then that's 30%. For employees, it's 25%. The calculations for the individuals and the employees is similar. So you'll remove the NIS and you remove the threshold, and what's left you calculate it at 25%. The taxable period for companies is within the trading year. So our fiscal year is from April to March. The trading year, however, is from January to December, unless you have permission from the Commissioner General to have another kind of trading year. It's always from January to December. Similar for individuals. The PAY is deducted monthly and paid over if you have employees. The return that you file for companies is the ITO2 if you're a limited company, or for partnerships is the ITO3. For individuals, you file a SO4 for the final return, and the SO4A for estimated income for the current year. Now, these returns are due by the 15th of March for individuals and companies, the 15th of March. For the employers who have persons on payroll, that SO2 is due by the 31st of the month of March. All right. All right. So, okay, we spoke about the threshold. This is just breaking them down into weekly, monthly, fortnightly amounts. Now, let me just say a few things, because I've had the experience where persons who are sole proprietors would say that, I'm only going to report my income from my jewelry making business. But then apart from jewelry making, you have a haulage contract. You maybe have space that you rent. You maybe have a taxi or several taxi, a bus company or bus business. When you're a sole trader, you are an entity in itself. So every source of income must be reported when you do your SO4. Must. So you can't leave out some gigs and just put what you feel. That's not being honest. That's not complete reporting. That's not accurate reporting. So you want to incorporate every single source of income. So you also have persons who are directors in companies who get income from their directorship. You also need to report that on your SO4 return. Now, persons who are in partnership, just so you know, there is no expectation for us in terms of payment when you do a partnership income. The partnership income tax return is mainly for reporting whatever took place in the partnership. And in that return, there is an aspect of it that speaks to the share of benefits. So some partnerships are 50-50, some are 90-10, depending on how many persons are partners, there is a share. So whatever the agreed share is, when you do the partnership income tax return, that is going to be reported. So if you're earning a profit, that share is split among the partners or between the partners. If you're earning a loss, that loss is also split among or between the partners. Now, whatever the end result is for this partnership return, the share is then carried into the partner's SO4 return. So you have to do the partnership return first and foremost. And then whatever the share is of profit or loss, is carried into your individual income tax return, which is the SO4. That's for the partners. All right. So that is the partnership return is filed on the ITO3, while the partner's return, having filed the ITO3, is then reported on the SO4 for the partners. I hope I'm not too fast with this one. If you're not clear, you can always leave a question, right? Now, so remember I said that whether it's a loss or a gain, you have to do the return. It is necessary. You have to do the return to avoid the penalties. I know with what's happening with the COVID that a lot of persons are being affected, and it may be, you know, like a very discouraging spell in your business or in your income generating activities, but don't leave out the tax admin out of it, please. Please report. So whatever is happening, you don't make the money, record it, keep your records, report it, and report it on time. And you'll do this to avoid any penalties. All right? You need to save every dollar that you can. So please be very aware of the dates and report the returns on the due dates, before the due dates, as a matter of fact. Asset tax, I know in the past persons would have had like limited companies, they would have had to report asset tax and, you know, in addition to income tax and all of the statutories and stuff. But with the legislative changes in 2019, we're no longer seeing asset tax of entities that are not financial institutions. So if you're not a financial institution, there's no expectation for you to do an asset tax. All right. Now, I'm just going to, you know, kind of wrap up to say that we are here to support you as the Taxpayer Education Unit. We can do this through advisory visits. I know with COVID, we don't really want to be going places, you know, but if it's necessary and we are, you know, adhering to the protocols, we can do office visits, advisory visits. That's what we call them, where we do one-on-one, where you can ask the questions, we can guide you in doing the returns online or answer any of these questions that you may have. Outside of that, we have tax kiosks in our revenue service centers. So like persons who may not have an office in their business, you can come and use our computers to file your returns, just to file your returns. You know, everything else outside of that, you have to find another space. But to help you to file the returns online, we provide spaces for you to do that. So you can visit any of the revenue service centers for that kind of support. We have one-on-one. So our numbers are basically out there. You can call us if it is that you're having problems understanding how to file the returns. We can support you over the phone. So that's what we call it, E1-on-1, to help you to register online or to file some returns online. And in addition to that, we do seminars, workshops, and expositions. So basically that's it from for the presentation. I will take your questions, and if I can demonstrate more from the website, then we can go ahead and do so.
Okay, so we do have a lot of questions. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do is please to just raise your hands, and then we'll let you know when you can go ahead and ask your question. Okay, so Ms. Greaves is up first. You can go ahead.
Good. I have a quick question. So I have recently started a TLC business, and their office is in Michigan, US, right? Okay. So how do I go about it? Do I request a statement from them to say, as a part of my tax return, which I have to do now before the 15th? Could you share some insight on that, please?
All right, let me see if I understand your question. You said you're part of a business that is based in Michigan?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you've explored the SO4 form. There's a section in section B that speaks to income from all sources or outside of the island. You can report it, you don't necessarily, you can get the information from the person who you work with to keep as record, right? You get that information for your record. That's first and foremost. Record, remember we talk about record keeping. So you get that information, you plug the income into the section on the form. I'll tell you exactly. The section on the form that speaks to, I'm going to open the form as we speak. All right, so there is a section on there for that.
Do you want to
use, you can use it. I'm sorry?
Do you want to project the form?
All right, let me do that. I'm coming, Jamaica Tax.
And another question, Ms. Anderson, while you're setting up the document, the payment from them is in US dollars. So in order to put it on the SO4A form, would that mean that I would have to use the conversion of the day of the
average,
period?
right, the average rated gain for the day that you received it. Or the period that you're reporting for.
So to make sure that we get it, if I got paid for a transaction on the 9th of November 2020, I would need to find out the exchange rate on that date.
Okay. Right. I'm going to share them. All right, so give me a second. Self-employed, sorry. All right, so the SO4 form, I'm bringing it up now. All right. So you'd be familiar with this if you filed a return in the past. Since you're doing it for the first time, all right, this is the first part of the page. So it says sources from outside the island. Are you seeing me highlight this?
Yes.
All right, so you can use the link that says other income outside the island. This is the, it may not be the same number on the online, but other income outside the island. You can use this box, or you could use this one at the top where it says gross income. Now in that case, it wouldn't matter where it's coming from. It's an income nevertheless. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you convert the amount. You convert the amount based on the rate for it, the BOJ rate for it on that day. You record it and then you report it.
Okay, that answers your question.
Yes,
okay,
it has.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to ask Mr. Anderson, Shamar Anderson, to go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. So my question, it's a simple question. So I was trying to obtain a TCC online, but I experienced some hurdles. So I was wondering, like, can you go through the process of showing how to obtain one?
Okay. I would have loved to demonstrate it for you if I had an online registration for myself, but I don't. But here's how you go about doing it. When you log into the website, right? You have an online account, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, I've created one like 2 days ago.
Okay, and you are set up you're registered for online filing.
I went into the branch to register that.
No, you still do it online. So having created the username, you go straight into applying for an e-services account. So basically, did you do anything relating to uploading your ID?
No, that was the part that I didn't understand. I think there was something about the ID or a signed letter, so I wasn't clear on that, so I never went further.
Okay, so you have to go further, Shamar, because that's how you're going to have the access to apply for TCC. All right. So you created the username. That's step one. Step two, now you'll go into apply for an e-services account. So when you're logged in, on the screen that default screen that comes up after you log in, you'll select the link that says apply for an e-services apply for an e-services account, or you can click on the link that says manage my e-services. Either way, it will take you into the screen where you will now follow the instructions to set up the e-registration. All right. So
yeah, I think I went to the e-services section, but I just wanted clarity because I never wanted to make any prompt decision that would mess the process up.
Okay, you're one step in the right direction. So it just means you need to just follow through and complete. And then when that comes into us, we'll complete the e-registration process. And then you can call us, we'll guide you into how to apply for the TCC. Is it your first time?
Yes, it's actually my first time requesting this. Yeah.
Okay, so we usually ask for clearances. We're looking into changing this, but we usually ask for clearances from NIS and NHT. So the first thing I would suggest is you can call us, we'll look at the account and guide you. So based off what is on your account, we'll tell you what steps to take to getting the TCC successfully. So I'll leave a number at the end you can call, or a series of numbers.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So next we have Mr. Zan Young. Please go ahead with your question.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, so I just need some clarity. So for me, I have a 9-to-5, a regular 9-to-5, but my husband and I, we have a business. So because it's both of us, we're advised to register it as a partnership. No, what is happening is that when the accountant files, the confusing part is that you're using my 9-to-5 salary, which tax is automatically being drawn from. So then the system is now asking for me to pay like how do I put this? The expected amount, the part where you file how much income you're expected to get, my 9-to-5 salary is a part of that. So in essence, I'll be paying that tax twice because it's automatically pulled from my salary. And then because it's filed as expected, then every month or so, I think it's expected that I pay based on that salary. So how exactly does that part work out?
All right, so if you know anything about the SO4, you'll know that when you do a SO4, it's it's not, it's a balancing act. If the tax was taken from your salary, all of that tax from your salary is accounted for. We're not taxing the amount again, it's really for reporting, right? So if your employer took NHT, NIS, the education tax and income tax, then you're not paying it a second time on that part of your income. Now, if it is that from your partnership, there is a net profit, so you had a share from partnership, then that is what in essence would be taxed when you do the SO4 form. Anything outside of that, the return is not being done properly, right?
So the expected amount then, when it says to file your, what is it, expected income, that
You're
is
talking
only
about the estimate,
yes, the estimate.
The estimate. All right, so it's a similar thing because the estimate on, all right, so are you seeing my form?
No, we're not.
All right, I'm gonna show you one thing about this. All right, so on the form, right? On this section where it says share of partnership income, this is line 8. I hope you're seeing where I'm highlighting.
Yes, I am.
You whatever the share of partnership income is, you'll plug that into this section where it asks a share of partnership income. Your salaries, wages, bonus or fees would be accounted for in this section under income from all employment and offices, right? Now, when we do the schedules for NHT and NIS, I'm gonna go to the schedule so you can see how it works. When we do the schedules for the NHT and NIS, the income, all right, this is the income schedule, I'm sorry. All right, so this is the NHT schedule. The income that you would have received, total income from all sources, so computation of this is the self-employment aspect of it. Income from all sources of this total income from all employment and offices will be entered here. But what would happen is that at the bottom of the form, where it says NHT deducted and payable by employers, that amount is entered into here. So it would have offset any expectation from the amount that is up here for your income from employment. I hope I'm not confusing you.
But no, because it's the first time, so it's kind of confusing. And my issue is that I have been trying to go into the Montego Bay office, but the customer service there is just, it's really not helping us, and it's not really helpful because I would really need help to go through at least for the first time to ensure that I have it and know how to do it so that I don't have to be making mistakes or having a headache.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. You could, if you don't want everybody to see your TRN, you could probably just send your TRN directly to me with a phone number, and I'll see if I can help you. Or I'll give you the number, you call me.
Okay, that would be great.
All right. Yeah, so that's it. That was it. That's the only question you have, Suzanne.
Right, I'll speak to you then when you send me the number.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Suzanne. So we're now going to ask Ms. Swaby to go ahead and ask her question.
Good night, everyone.
Hello.
Good night.
Okay, so my question is, as a sole trader, is it necessary to file the SO1 since I'm the business owner?
Are you taking a salary?
Yes.
Yeah, it's necessary. Okay. Yeah, so if you consistently take a salary, if you're taking a salary.
Or I would be taking a salary.
Okay, so you haven't started?
I started before, but now I have to just work with what I have.
Okay, so fine. If it is that you're taking a salary, yes, you can
Yes.
do the SO ones. So you basically be reporting the portion that you take, but then you'll have to match it
Yes.
in terms of percentage. So NIS would be 3% as an employee. The employer's portion is also 3%.
Okay.
Right? Education tax is 2.25% for the employee. The employer's portion is 3.5. So you have to match that. And
Okay.
NHD is 3% from the employer side, and you pay 2%. I mean, you're paying all of it because you're the employee. So
Yes. So what was it
if you're
again?
taking a salary, yes. If not, at the end of the year, when you do your reporting, if you have a net profit, you report your income based on the net profits.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So, Sophia Balgrave, would you like to go ahead?
Sophia changed her mind.
Mr. Kelly, would you like to go ahead in the meantime?
Sure. Good night, everyone.
Hello.
All right, I have two questions. I'm in the building industry, and I heard you speak about not requiring to file GCT unless you're registered and earning above $10 million. So my business earns, each year I would say I earn gross above $10 million. Am I required to charge customers GCT?
If you're registered, then that's a requirement. In the building industry, can you be a little bit more specific? You have a hardware, you are a contractor. What is your specific?
I do architectural drafting and construction. I'm a general contractor.
Okay, so if you're earning that amount each year, then you should register.
Okay, so there's no, because someone, this accounting thing has been up in the air for years, and everybody has something different to say to you. So when I speak with, I use two accountants sometimes. I use two accountants to help me with my bookkeeping. And both of them have told me that I am not required to pay GCT, and I can't understand why. So it seems as if there are some groups of persons or businesses
that's
earning above 10 million that are not required to pay GCT by law. I'm trying to understand if that's the case.
By virtue of the nature of your construction activities. So what I could do is, I mean, I could take your information of the year and then relate it to a technical specialist for guidance on that.
I would appreciate
virtue of
that.
you being in construction.
Okay. And my other question is pertaining to the SO4A, the estimated payments that I did for last year.
Yeah.
Just going to use an example. On the SO4A, say, for example, it was 10,000 that I'm required to pay per quarter, which would be 40,000 for the year. When I'm filing my returns now and the actual figures are being calculated, say, for example, the actual calculation shows that I need to pay $30,000 and I had paid 40,000. Is it that a credit is given on my account, or is an actual refund given?
Which one of the tax types are we talking about? NHT, NIS, education tax, income tax. Which one we talking about? Where was the overpayment?
Income tax.
All right, so if it was overpaid on the income tax, you can actually have the amount or request that the amount be shifted to another period, or you could apply to have it refunded to you. You have the option.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, perfect.
NHT and NIS really can't do anything about it because we're just collectors. So anywhere it's applied, it stays there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Kelly. Okay, I'm going to ask Jody Ann Thompson to unmute and ask her question now.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Hi.
So I just want to clarify for self-employed persons who are contributing to a pension fund, do we put the pension amount in box 20 or box 28?
All right, let me go to box 20. I'm going to project again. All right, so when you're reporting pension, it's in the contribution to an approved pension scheme is the box that you put that in. So let's go there. All right, so we're in the section C, the contribution to approved retirement scheme.
I was actually talking about the boxes in section B.
In section B?
Yeah.
You said are you employed?
Self-employed.
Right, so that's why I'm showing you where you need to account for this retirement pension. If it were that you're employed, the information would have been captured in the section B under income for all employment and offices. But you fall outside of being employed, you're self-employed, so you'll report that under the section that says contribution to approved retirement scheme.
So for box 28, what is it used for in section B?
All right, box 28. I'm sorry, this box 28 on this form is showing me something about dividends, pension. All right, so this, if it is that you receive pension, not paying into, receive pension, you'll account for it in the section 28, box 28.
Okay.
You understand that? So if you're you're in receipt of a pension, you'll record it at that box 28. But if you're paying into the pension as a self-employed person, you'll go to section C and do that at box 10. Just look for the line contribution to approved retirement scheme.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next question. I was told that I need to notify TAJ if I'm no longer a self-employed person, so they wouldn't expect me to be filing my own taxes. How do I go about doing that?
That has to be justifiable as well. So you have to explain why you're no longer self-employed.
Nobody not hiring me anymore. COVID, I keep.
Well, okay. Well, if it is that you want to deregister as self-employed, there's a process that has to be followed.
It's not necessary to deregister. It's to tell TAJ, do not expect any income tax from me for this year.
Are you asking us to not expect money from you, or not expect you to report? What is it that you're asking? Because if you're registered as self-employed and you're not earning anything, you still have the obligation to report. So you just
report zero?
Yeah, file a return. And file it on time.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
And if I want to deregister, what do I do?
If you're going to be deregistering, like I was going to explain, that there's a process that you have to follow. So you need to sit with a compliance officer and they'll look at your account to see if everything is up to date, payments up to date, filings up to date, and you need to put something in writing. It's not just a clear-cut thing. I'm just telling you, like in theory, how it would work. But you have to justify why you're no longer self-employed. You know, you're migrating. You know, something you have to justify this, and then
Okay, all right, thank you.
finance person would take you through the process to close those accounts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next.
All right, Stacy Ann, you could go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
All right. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this platform. All right. So my thing is, I started selling weight loss tea in June and I registered then. I started doing some vaginal care products or feminine products. That wasn't going so well. So I found something that is going a bit better now. So I think I want to stick to that. I registered in June. I want to do my taxes. I want to know, I don't have the money to pay the account and the 15,000. I've been seeing where they're saying that help is offered for persons who want to do the filing and reporting. I'm currently in Montego Bay, but like the lady said, the Montego Bay tax office is not so user-friendly or customer-friendly. So I prefer to go to Lucy. What I wanted to know is if I go in branch, can I get someone to assist me, like all the way?
I'm not sure how Lucy is set up. I don't know if they have support persons there in Lucy, because that Lucy is a satellite office. They're the smaller offices. So the bigger offices, Montego Bay, Mandeville, Maypen, King Street, Constant Spring. The support is there in these offices, but I can't say for sure that you have that level of support if you go to Lucy. What I can suggest to you is you can start by registering online. Have you already done that?
All right, great question. I forgot that one. All right, so I have an online account, right? But the business that I registered, no, it's not showing on there. But I will see my past work history and stuff like those. Like I used to work there and I would see tax from previous employee or previous places that I've worked before. But this business now has been registered in June. I'm not seeing anything there. I did have a shop in Green Island. That one was closed out. That is still there, showing that closed. But I'm not seeing this business on the platform. So when I try to go on it,
all right, you said you're a sole proprietor? You're a sole trader?
Sole trade, yeah.
Sole trader. All right. I don't know that you will be able to see the distinction between whatever you do as a sole trader when you go online. I mean, in the event that you apply for what we call a TCC, you're gonna see your name, your own
TCC. That was easy.
I'm sorry?
I got the TCC license.
Okay, but the TCC had your name, not the business name that you registered.
Oh.
You wouldn't see that on the TCC. You'd see it on the validation thing where it says that you have a branch and the branch name is this, right? But don't worry that you're not seeing this. What you need to be focused on is keeping your records, that when you're ready at the end of the year, when you do your financial statement or your simple income statement, you will have those records to put together, to put on that statement, so you can report your overall income.
So if I want to do my report, sorry to cut you. If I want to do my report, what form will I look for when I go online?
All right, so if you're set up as self-employed and you have the account set up, then you will file from income tax. It's the SO4 that you will file on as self-employed. SO4.
So even though I'm not seeing the business that I have there on it, just still put in the information regarding
All right, so
the
it's
report.
hard, you see, based on how you're answering, I'm sorry. Based on how you're asking the question, I can tell that you're not really familiar with the portal and how it works. So here's what my suggestion is going to be, because you would need a step-by-step demonstration as to what to expect when you go into file, right? So,
yeah.
I'll leave the number with you as well. I'll leave
Would
the
really
number.
appreciate
You can call and we'll start you from baby steps into the process. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of anything else. So that was the main thing, because I just want to do my taxes and in compliance and all of that.
Okay.
These penalties, them not look cheap.
Okay. I'll also use email as well, because I may be better able to respond to the email messages. So I'll leave my email and the phone number that you can use.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stacy. Okay.
You're welcome.
Nicholas Francis, you could go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
First thing first. Regards to the GCT collections. What are the collections? For example, as a microfinance entity, unregulated body. So, for example, if you're charging a processing fee, if that processing fee you're charging for the year exceed a $10 million, you'd able to file for the GCT number, or is entire money that you make, meaning the interest and the processing fee and late fee and stuff.
It is the law is based on your gross revenues.
Okay. So that basically the GCT would basically, if you're charging a fee, as in a processing fee, but with the processing fee and whatever you earn, interest, late fee combines together over $10 million for the year. That's when you apply for a GCT.
Right, that's when you register.
Number. Okay. The second question is that if you're earning a dividend, you're getting paid by dividend, but the dividends are already taxed, should you include it into your filing?
You have to, if you're all right. So dividend is another thing that is based on reporting purposes. So there's a section income from dividend that you plug that in, but on the second page of the return, you'll see where it says tax on dividend. Whatever tax was taken from it is usually 15% of whatever you earn.
15%.
Right. So that amount would be accounted for. Can I project the form again?
Yeah, sure. You can.
Yeah. All right. So. All right. So dividends, you report it here. Gross dividends. There's a distinction between the preference share and dividends. So your gross dividends, you report it here. And then on the second page, where your tax computations will take place, here, tax on dividends, the amount that you would have actually paid already on that dividend, you report tax deducted from dividend. You report it here. Tax deducted from dividend. Here, you seeing this one?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's a balancing effect. It will basically offset the tax that would have applied against it.
So it would be taxed again?
No, it wouldn't be taxed again.
Okay.
Really
okay. And you mentioned about persons who are earning differently. For example, having a bus or a distributing bus with a company, but you're paying For example, you have something with a distributor and you're paying the drivers already, but you don't include that into your it is not a registered business, but you just have a truck that you registered to distribute, but it isn't, you're not paying any tax, so you're not included into your filing. Is there a penalty for that? Seeing it that you're already paying. Go ahead.
No, because when you as a self-employed person, you're supposed to report all of your income from all of the sources, whether inside of Jamaica or outside of Jamaica. That's the
Okay.
expectation when you file a
So the
self.
final, the overall question is that when you include them and they are already taxed, but they won't be taxed again, just to include them, the
Right,
earnings.
right.
Okay. And the final question is that if you have a business, but your registered
Sorry,
name.
before you ask the final question, if it is that you're earning additional income from this transportation thing, you have to pay the tax on it if it's due. You know, if you suffer any kind of expense in earning it, you can report those expenses as well, because there's a section that you can use to report your expenses. But you report it, and if payment is expected from that report, then you have to pay tax on it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you're not leaving out anything. If it is that you're audited, if it is that we find that you're earning additional income and we do an audit and realize you're not reporting it, remember I said that we can do an assessment, right? We can do an assessment, and the assessment may not necessarily be in your favor. All right, so you want to
thank you. So we have a number of questions. So we're gonna ask Ms. Blackwood to go next.
Are you talking about Shaquille Blackwood?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Good night, everyone. I have a simple question. It's related to LLC, right? So last year I set up an LLC in January, and I think I'm new to this whole company thing. So I think I was expected to file the same thing in March, but we didn't start operating business. We were planning to start operations in April, but then COVID-19 hit, and then we postponed the date and started operations in September. And it's from September to now we've been keeping records and all of that. And because we're still in the COVID thing, where the company gets its income right now, it's from owner's equity, right? So it's not actual earned income. It's the directors putting in their sum of money. So my question is, I understand that I still will have to file the report, but how will I deal with the different type of tax, the NIS, the NHT? And in addition to that, I wanted to know if each director is supposed to do their separate filing as well, even though we're not getting any income from the company, whether through dividend or salary or anything like that. Should we still file personally?
Okay. So you're a limited liability company that
Right.
just, I'm repeating, so I have your question right. You registered last year, early part of last year, but you never actually started until September of last year. All right, so it means you have a 3-month reporting, September, October, November. It's for 4 months reporting period out of 2020 that you still need to do a return for it. But remember what I said earlier, that if it is that your company or your business didn't realize profits, then there would be no expectations for payments for NHT, NIS, education tax or income tax. But we expect that you're going to file. That's the minimum expectation that we'll have, being that you had activities between September and December. All right. So
Okay.
you do your accounting part of it, and then you do the tax part. Just report based off what happened.
All right. And in terms of personal reporting.
And in terms of the directors, yes, each person is required to do an annual return. So each of you would need to register for online and do the SO4 and SO4A.
So SO4 and SO4A.
Yeah.
All right, then. Final question before I go, it's in relation to tax deductions when we donate to like charities and stuff like that. Like I understand the basic concept, but I don't fully understand. Let's say I earn $1 million and I choose to give 900,000 to a charity. You know, will you tax $100,000 or something like that? Is that how it works?
I think she is frozen. Let's just give her a few minutes to hopefully rejoin.
Good night. Hello.
Hello.
Can I say something? I'm her colleague.
Sure.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so I'm Denise Coley Wilson. I'm a colleague of Antoinette. I'm from Tax Administration Jamaica. No, you're only allowed to report or to declare 1/20 of your statutory income as an allowable deduction. So you would not be allowed then to say I gave 900,000. If you earn $1 million, you would not be allowed to declare 900,000 to a charitable organization and not be taxed on it. It's limited to an approved charitable organization.
Yeah.
All right.
Denise.
Okay.
Denise, my signal.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna ask if we have a few questions in the chat section. Would you be able to just answer those in the meantime as well?
Okay.
Right, so we will take Ms. Dunkley next.
All right, good night. Thank you very much for allowing me this platform. I have 4 questions. The first question, 2020 found I do tutoring, and 2020 found me working from home. Everything was now switched to online. How would I apportion my expenses for home during that period?
I think Ms. Anderson is frozen again. Denise, are you there? Would you be able to
Okay, repeat that question for me, please. Repeat that question.
I teach, and with everything, with COVID, everything switched to online. How would I apportion my expenses now that my job was being done at home?
All right, so you can account for your expenses in terms of, all right, so your home would have been your personal space, your living space.
Yes.
But then out of that, you're declaring that a portion or a part of your living space is being used for business purposes. So you can now decide or declare that, okay, I'm using 1/3 of this space or a half. You are able to make that determination to say this amount, I'm apportioning this expense, my internet expense, 1/3 or a half of it is for business purposes. So I can declare that and claim it as an expense. your electricity bill, or is it half or a third or a quarter, you are allowed to declare that.
So where would I
Just so
declare?
long as you're individual.
Where would I declare that on my return?
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm asking, where would I declare that on my return?
Right. So business expenses. So for the schedule that will pop when you on it, you're allowed to bring that schedule up, or you can attach a financial statement. You have a financial statement prepared, and you will claim your expenses, business or the expenses that were incurred in earning that income. No for
Okay, it seems as though we're losing the presenters. Let's just give them a few minutes just to see.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Are you hearing me?
No, we're not.
Sorry, my internet went. All right. So, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
all right.
please.
So for all your business expenses now, anything that would have been incurred because you're using your home space, as I was saying earlier, for example, electricity or your internet expense, you would, so for argument's sake, so for the year or the period that you're referring to, their internet expense was $100,000 and you feel half of that was for business, then you would have stated internet expense, 100,000, 50% is this $50,000. So I'm claiming this as the expense based on the schedule. So you would say what the entire expense is and how much of it you're declaring as a business expenses. Did I get that? Is that clear?
Yes, I've gotten it, but I'm okay. Okay, got it. The second question I am okay. All right, you have answered the question. Right, good. The other question, I used to work full-time and then my business was being developed part-time. In 2020, it kind of switched because I didn't have a full-time. I only had my quote unquote part-time or my business that I was developing. How would I, because of that, the expectation that was there is no longer there. How do I reflect that I was unemployed for the majority of 2020?
So go ahead, Anthony.
You said you worked full-time?
I worked full-time up to December 2019.
Ah, okay. Okay. So still report.
Okay.
Report, put it on the return, like
okay.
It's in essence, you're saying that, all right, so we have to be careful because you're a sole proprietor, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember I said earlier that every single business activity has to be reported. So
yes.
You say you were setting up a business while you were tutoring, that's 2019. But in 2020, nothing materialized. You weren't tutoring any at all?
No, that's in 2019, tutoring at home became the majority rather than the minority.
In 2019?
In 2020.
Okay. So you were earning from tutoring in 2020 then?
Yes.
So it means then that you still had gainful employment, you were still doing some kind of activity that was generating income.
Yes.
So when you do the 2020 return, you report what took place for your tutoring, for the tutoring activity that you were involved in.
Oh, good. Now, Miss Antoinette, I had asked this question, but I need a little bit more clarity. Because I was working from home, my expenses also went up. Where do I declare that on the form?
There is a business expense. There's a line in the section A, that's in section B, sorry, that speaks to business expense, administrative expenses. So you can use that line to report whatever the expenses were. When you do it online, it lists a set of expenses. Of course, it's not exhaustive. So there's a section for other on that form that you can list all of the expenses and list the amounts for all of the expenses.
Okay.
That's it?
Yes, those are my questions so far. Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said 4 questions.
All right. Thanks so much. We're moving quickly along. What I would ask is if you guys have more than one question, feel free to send us an email. I left the email address in the chat and we'll forward them to Miss Anderson or put you guys in contact so that you could have that specific conversation, right? So we're just trying to be mindful of time, and I know we have a couple people with their hands raised. So if you could keep the questions short and then we connect you with Miss Anderson after. Yeah? So I'm gonna ask Ivor Graham to unmute and ask his question.
Good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I have two questions. I have a personal question and a business question. Can I go ahead?
Sure.
All righty, so in regards to the personal section, I was working for a company who didn't pay my taxes, so I was responsible for paying my own taxes. I signed up, I think about a year or 2 years ago, but after I signed up, after that first filing, there wasn't any more filing done after that. So I still got the emails. I can see the balance on the e-service page. If I'm going to be doing, if I want to catch up, I want to play catch up with the taxes from the personal side, do I have to pay off all that amount, or can I have somebody bring in the amount that I made and have them check it out and see what do I owe you guys, or do I still, because right now I'm still getting the assumption, I'm guessing the figures that they thought I would be making based on the first figure that I presented. So do I have to provide all of that information again from all that time, or can I have basically I want to know how much do I owe, and who do I talk in regards to that?
Okay, so what you may be seeing in the system is not necessarily, what you may be seeing in the system is the information that you would have inputted when you did the estimate. I'm assuming 2 years ago, you did an estimate, but you never paid and you never filed.
All right.
Is that the case?
After the first filing, there wasn't any more filing after that.
You didn't, what, did you make payments?
After the first filing, I did not.
All right. I have to be very clear on what you're saying, because filing is different from paying, right?
All right, so
two different things.
I'm sorry. After I registered, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, do you want me to have her contact you so that you can have a more one-on-one conversation and she can walk you through what you would need to do?
Yes, please. Other than that, in regards to the business, if my business was registered but it didn't have a TCC or all of the other required documentation, I'm sorry.
It's okay, go ahead.
If the business was, if I registered the business name, but I did not get the TCC or any other documentation required for a said business, but the business has been registered by name for a few years, what do I do in regards to that business?
We can talk about it one-on-one as well. because we would have to look at your unique situation for the business. Okay, Mr. Graham?
I'll ensure that he gets the information. So we're going to now ask Yannick to go ahead. Go ahead. Yannick?
She changed her mind.
All right, let's go. In the meantime, let's go to Courtney. So there are actually two Courtneys, not Samuel's, the Courtney that is logged in as just Courtney.
Hello, sir. Hello?
Yes, Courtney.
No, this is Keith. Yannick Pinedo.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, sorry. Our business started in June last year. We are in the spice industry. So one of the things that we have to do is do our market research. And that market research involves issuing samples and doing a lot of underground work before the actual sales or traction takes place. How do we account for that part of the business in our tax return?
That would, I guess you could call it an expense. Denise, I think it would basically form a part of your expense because you're spending that money to make money. You understand?
Right.
So you could probably
right.
account for it as marketing or something, advertising, or something in that line.
Anything you spend on, anything that you spend on for incurring the anything that you spend on in earning the income of the business, you're allowed to claim as an expense and expense.
It's sort of difficult to estimate because a lot of the marketing involves like issuing samples, as I said, and we did some poster. So the full trust of it was not accounted for properly initially. Our traction started actually in October when we started to have sales, and that's when we start to put in our accounting processes. Do we have to go back to June where we started from, or we can start in October?
What, did you have records from back in June?
Just for the samples, we show where we issued samples, who we issued samples to, and so forth. But that's it.
Yeah, because it would form a part of the reporting period, Remember, we spoke about the calendar year as being the period within which you report for the year, January to December. So it's still within the year, you still would have to report based off what the sampling was from the get-go, at whatever point in the year it was.
Okay, understood, thanks.
Okay, so we are almost out of time. So I'm going to just ask, we have 3 persons with their hands up. So both Courtney and Samantha, we're gonna go ahead and take those questions. And what I'm gonna ask everyone else to do is, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat section. What we'll do is we'll ensure we'll work with Ms. Anderson to ensure that you get an answer as soon as possible. So we are going to go with Courtney next. So that is just Courtney, not Mr. Samuel.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, you can go ahead. We're hearing you.
Okay. My question is regarding, you had mentioned earlier about a waiver. So hold on, let me put this on silent. So in 2020, so in 2020, I had closed my business. So what I did that year, I did the filing. I filed and I paid the 2019 amount, and I closed the business. When I closed the business, I was told I need to I think the person had explained that I needed to file an estimate or to file a nil form or something to that effect. But when I did it, it came up that I owed $10,000 in NIS. So she was explaining to me that that's the minimum that you'd pay. That's the minimum amount any person can pay for NIS. But I pay approximately $30,000 in NIS because I am also employed. So I was asked to do a waiver, which I think I sent 1 or 2 letters, and I sent a couple of other messages on the platform. I haven't received a response, but the recommendation from the office at the time was to just go ahead and pay it because it's reflected on the systems. I guess for me not to be considered as non-compliant or something, she was suggesting that I paid it. So I'm trying to figure out how could I get that amount applied or counted against what I paid under my employment, which is 30,000 and something.
All right, so to better be able to answer, we would need to look at your case. So
Okay.
we'll take the parent and go in and look at that. So you can actually reach out to us as well. These are not questions that you can just, pick answers for. Your situation is unique. So we'll have to look at what exists, and then we'll look at the return that was filed, see why the expectation is there for the NIS, and then we'll tell you exactly how to approach it.
Okay, because I've been emailing, I've been messaging, and I've been calling. Probably it's been a couple of months now since I've been trying to figure it out.
So currently we're going to ensure, not to cut you, but we're going to ensure that you get an answer. We're going to follow up with Ms. Anderson to make sure you get the answer. But we're going to have to move on to Samantha. Samantha, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank
Hi,
you.
good night. Good night. So my question is, I started a business July 17, 2020. Up until January 3rd, 2020, I was a part-time employee. So I realized on the system today when I was going through that some portions on the form is already pre-populated with an estimate of how much I should be paying for NIS, etc. So my question is, should I be requesting a P45 to say I was paying taxes up to that point, that I was no longer employed, for the system to balance out the payment that I should actually be making for the tax for the current business I have? Because I realize that as a sole proprietor, your business and you're basically one.
Yeah.
So the information is always coming up. But up until January, I was unemployed. So I was not paying any taxes. So is it that I'm obligated to pay taxes now that I've opened the business? So from the time that I was unemployed to now, is it that I'm expected to pay those taxes?
All right, so Samantha, we'll also have to look at your situation, because I don't know that we pre-populate forms for expected payments. We pre-populate forms for payments that were made. When you're doing the SO4, there's a section that that lists the payments that you made to that period, to whichever tax type. But we don't pre-populate the forms to tell you that you owe this. It's based off of what you put in, that the assessment or the taxes are calculated. So I look at what your return says and then answer to you directly based off of what you just explained.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so our last question for the night, Mr. Samuels, you can go ahead.
Good evening, participants and presenters. Thank you, JMMB, for this wonderful gesture. We really appreciate it. My question was, I am thinking it's too late for it now, but however, I'm thinking I can get this response to by direct contact. I wanted a demonstration or a tutorial of the SO4 form, an explanation of the different fields, and a demonstration of how it is to be done. Essentially, that was my request, but I think we're out of time now. So since she posted her contact information in the chat, then hopefully I can get that done at a later time.
Yes, we can definitely guide you through the SO4 return, Mr. Samuels. So you reach out to us, yeah?
Okay, thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We really do hope that we made an impact and you are leaving at a place of being much more informed. Thank you so much, Ms. Anderson. We really appreciate you being here. We are going to be having our next event is going to be on strategic planning. So you can listen out for that invitation. As I said when we just started out, that we have both open events for both JMMB clients and we have open events such as this one. The strategic one is going to actually be one just for JMMB clients. So if you want to join the SME Resource Center family and continue to benefit from these fabulous workshops and also the other services that we offer, please feel free to reach out to any of our agents. Our email address was posted at the top of the chat. So you can reach out to us. You can also contact our client care center. They'll contact you with us if you would like as well. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. Remember, if you have any questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will contact you to make sure that you get a response. So ensure that you stay compliant and you file by March 15. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, just us.
All right, guys. Yeah, my thing is stuck. So it's just us now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We had the polls or no?
Yeah, we had the final poll.
Okay. All right. And you got the responses.
Yeah, we got 43 out of 66 persons, and it was mainly 4 and 5s.
Okay. All right, great. I think it was a good session. We had a lot of questions. A lot. So I don't know if we have any more that need to be answered otherwise.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. It was very full.
Yeah.
We could go on all night.
I know, right? My thing is stuck, so I can't even get to the chat. It's not even moving on my screen, so I don't know what is happening. All right, yeah, we'd have been, as Vincent said, we'd have been on whole night if we continued with the questions. All right. I don't know if it is useful to do, I don't know, something else on the SO4. Is the SO4 form that we actually go through detailed with JMMB clients? I don't know. I guess we could figure that out.
Okay, I'm looking at the calendar to see when we would do it.
Yeah, because filing is March 15th, so we don't
Yeah,
really
so
have that
to be
time.
like next week.
Mhm.
I think we are right here. I think we did this, and I think it was enough. And now they know that there are the tax units that they could go to and get specific help.
Assistance.
Or they
Right.
could email us and we'll try to get them the help.
Well, dependent. Look how
If
long
they're
she take to
clients.
reply.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, they have to be a SME resource center client.
A lot of those persons not going to get any response.
And will be.
No,
Yeah.
they may get it after March 15.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
she did quite well. She did well though.
Yeah,
She
I
did
think she
well,
did
and
well.
she answered every question.
Every question.
So what I would want is if we could also send her something to say thank you.
Yeah.
We could use one of the gifts that we have in my office.
Yeah. Our manager was on as well. Denise
The
Wilson.
manager, okay.
Yeah, he
Okay.
reports to her.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. All
Okay,
right, guys. Have a good
everybody.
night.
You too.
Yeah.
All
Good night,
right.
everyone. Good
Okay.
session.
Bye.
Bye.